Hello, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about Epsilon Glow, which is Dither Boy's own glow specifically designed for work with dithering and the kind of dithering outputs that Dither Boy produces. And this is part 3 of a little series of the just basics of Dither Boy. So in this series already, I have covered Dither Boy's signal chain. I've covered one other effect, which are the chromatic effects, which I will touch on a little bit in this video because they are also designed with Epsilon Glow in mind. And the reason Epsilon Glow is getting its own video here is because it's a little bit different to other glows. It's not unusable on other things, but it is designed for dithering specifically. So I'm going to explain in a way where hopefully you'll be able to get the most out of Epsilon Glow for dithering. Until now, I've been using a demo image for this series. I'm going to deviate from that today because I recently found an image that just demonstrates quite a lot of what I'm going to talk about way better than anything that I've did recently. So because I'm using this image, I will just quickly reference, if you go to studioAAA.com/community and read my post there about cyberpunk dithering, you'll find out some more about how you can dither in this style, but I'm just going to cover primarily Epsilon Glow today. So I've applied a very standard dither to this image just to start out with. I'm using the Bay Avoid algorithm and I'm just using one of the source palettes. Now, the reason this makes such a good image for me to demo on is because it is made up of lots of blue, a little bit of red, and a very small amount of green. All images are made up of red, green, and blue. And when you're applying any kind of glow that was designed for images, and when I say designed for images, what I mean is it wasn't designed to go on the outline of something. So a glow on an image that lives within the image as opposed to a glow that is just on the outline of a shape, you will likely have a threshold control. If I load in Epsilon Glow now, the first slider that you get is threshold, the second is threshold smoothing. So to understand threshold, what you need to know is that every single pixel you've ever worked with in a digital RGB color space is made up of 4 numbers: red, green, blue, and alpha. Alpha is transparency, so when we're dithering, we do not deal with transparency, so I'm going to forget about the alpha channel and we're just going to think about red, green, and blue. So every pixel gets a number for red, green, and blue between 0 and 255. 255 being the brightest and 0 being the darkest. So for example, a pure white pixel will be 255 red, 255 green, and 255 blue. A pure black pixel will be 0, 0, 0. A pure red pixel would be 255 red and 0 for the other two, and so on. Most pixels are a mix, so even a color that you think is blue might have some green in there and a little bit of red. A color that you think is green might have a little bit of red and a little bit of blue in there. Whatever the color is, those 3 numbers are used in an equation that determines the luminance value of that pixel. Luminance just means brightness. So whenever you are given a threshold, it is most of the time a luminance threshold. Now you know how luminance works. The only other word there is threshold, which essentially just means what point does it have to cross. So think of the threshold as like a limit or a standard or a qualifier for something to meet the threshold, if you know what I mean. So to give you a visual demo here, if you set the threshold to 0, then Epsilon Glow is not checking the luminance value of a pixel to determine whether it glows or not. Therefore, the whole image is going to have the glow applied to it. As you start upping the threshold, fewer and fewer pixels will meet the requirement that you set or the threshold that you set, and so fewer and fewer pixels will glow. Fewer and fewer pixels will be affected by what you set up in Epsilon Glow. What I just explained there, if you bear that in mind, like for any work on images digitally, you will very, very quickly be able to pick up anything that is giving you control using a threshold slider. So now I can continue and explain Epsilon Glow. I'm just gonna, for this demo, I'm gonna up the radius and intensity because I want it to be very apparent what I'm doing in the screen recording. So at 0, entire image is glowing. You are not setting a limit. You're just saying, yeah, everything can go through into the glow. We're not going to even bother filtering for luminance. If I set it even at 1 or 2, you'll see now that pure white or very bright pixels are being cut out and they're not included in the glow. And so you can see some of the image again. As we keep upping the threshold, more and more of the image will be excluded from the glow. And this is where Epsilon Glow glow differs a little bit from other glows that you've dealt with. As we know, in dithering, you've got hard edges, you've got squares, you've got shapes that form that are clear and obvious. It's not like looking at an undithered image where there's smooth transitions and stuff. Even the smoothest dithering, like here, is pretty smooth. It's still made up of hard squares. So when we were creating a glow for Dither Boy, we wanted something that would take advantage of that. So you will find that Epsilon Glow is going to lend itself to you isolating the glow onto one of the colors in your color palette using the threshold slider. Now, before I mentioned that every pixel has red, green, and blue values, these values all contribute differently to the luminance value. So the equation that is used to calculate the luminance from the red, green, and blue channels, it doesn't weight each color equally. Blue is naturally darker. So if you have a pixel that is 0 red, 0 green, but 255 blue, it will be darker than a pixel that was 255 green with 0 red and 0 blue, or a pixel that was 255 red with 0 green and 0 blue. I know this is a lot of numbers and stuff to take in. It might feel like a bit of an overload, but basically green builds up luminance quicker than red and blue. Red builds up luminance quicker than blue, but not as quick as green. And so on this image, it's very easy for us to use the threshold slider to isolate the green or the red. It's literally as easy as just moving the slider. You don't have to really put any effort into isolating the brighter hues here. Obviously, neither color is as bright as pure white. So if you go to a certain point, then the glow won't appear at all. If you've ever encountered an issue where you've set up an Epsilon Glow effect and you're not seeing any glow, then you probably just need to lower the threshold. So let's say for this image that we want just this green to glow with a little bit of red like this. Beyond just the threshold control, you've got threshold smoothing. This determines whether the glow kicks in very suddenly or whether it eases in gently. You'll notice some difference if I lower the threshold smoothing altogether or if I up it completely. Particularly on these outer pixels here, you can see with high threshold smoothing, it looks quite different to low threshold smoothing. Radius, I've got my radius set to 200 already. If we look at this pixel that's been isolated out here on the edge, this is a good example of where you can sort of demo radius on this image. So max radius, obviously it emits quite a lot of light. You do have some other controls for radius like fall off or distance scale. So with a lower distance scale, the light will travel further. With a higher fall off, the light won't travel as far, but it will be more intense basically. Intensity does exactly what you'd imagine. At 0, there is no glow. You turn it all the way up, it gives you an intense glow. Aspect ratio lets you put in some direction here. This is the aspect ratio of the glow sort of before it emits light. So you're basically controlling the aspect ratio at the source rather than the aspect ratio of the light as it comes out. We are going to be adding another glow to Dither Boy eventually that does the inverse of that and is different to Epsilon Glow. But my favorite slider in the whole thing is what we named it after, which is Epsilon. So Epsilon is going to let you give your glow a brilliant, like hot center. I'll show you some work that I've done on screen where I would not have been able to do it without the Epsilon slider. Once you have learned how to take advantage of the Epsilon slider, it's really fun to play with. It kind of lends itself to really isolated glows. So if you are just going to isolate to like just the face glasses thing here, or if you're isolating to only the brightest parts and then moving like the Epsilon down so it's like a hot glow and moving down the distance scale, you can get like some star shapes and stuff out of this. Kind of like something like this is what I would go for. Obviously in this image there's not a lot of it, but if you have a lot of outlier pixels, kind of like this one here on the edge or these up at the top right, using the Epsilon slider in combination with the other controls here, you're going to be able to like pick those up and just make them beam light, which again works really well for dithering because you're going to get these little individual clusters of pixels that are just one color, sometimes depending on your settings, and a really cinematic, like a bloomy glow that just sort of coats the whole thing and isn't very exclusive. You just want to give you this. So yeah, that's why Epsilon Glow designed for Dither Boy. Now, if I reset this to default and then just toggle it back on and we just give it some something nice and general, so just something like this. And then we add in the chromatic effects that I talked about in the last video, toggle those on, and then hover over the tab and click on the down icon. They will now come in before the Epsilon Glow. So I talked about the signal chain in the first beginner's guide for Dither Boy, but having the chromatic effects before the Epsilon Glow gives you like a little trick you can sort of play on the threshold. So if we up the max displace, and I'm just going to go for something extreme to demo this for you, but up the max displace all the way and blow out the red channel. I told you before that red is brighter than blue, generally speaking, with RGB. And we already know that my Epsilon Glow is set up to catch the reds because it's catching these reds here, but it's not catching the blues. So you stick a chromatic effects underneath it, you move the reds, and you've got a whole nother dimension now in the glow. Put them back and move, let's say, the green. So we know the green is really glowing here. So let's move the green out. You can see the whole glow pattern changing. Blue doesn't do as much, but it's like I told you, blue does not contribute as much to luminance. So blue's not doing as much. Red is really the sweet spot for this one. Like, it's kind of crazy the amount of variation as we move the red channel around. The reason this works, if I go and just move back to the monochrome dither here, this looks really cool, by the way. Like, this is exactly what I wanted from Epsilon Glow. So I'm so happy with Epsilon Glow. I absolutely love it. But if we just disable these now and just turn on the chromatic effects, reset these here, you and I know we've just got white shapes here. There's nothing, no color to really pick up. So therefore, Epsilon Glow, when you're moving the threshold around, nothing's going to happen. Like at threshold 1, it's exactly the same as threshold 100. So threshold is useless basically because we've just got black and white. That's why chromatic effects here, if we start to just knock out the red and the blue and zoom in even more, sorry, this is going to be a little bit blurry on the video because I'm really zooming in, but from the white, you can use these sliders to blend. Here is a pink and green combo. If I move again, here is a blue and yellow combo. So because of what I told you about luminance now, you know that yellow is brighter on the luminance scale than blue. So let's go back and enable the Epsilon Glow and it washes out the blue completely. So if we then keep moving the blue, you can have this blue sort of outline with the yellow glowing, or you can move the red out and then move the threshold down and it will start to pick up the red as well. So in other words, what this is giving you when you've got the chromatic effects is a way to actually blend. These are not just red, green and blue squares. Like you can actually blend here if you overlap them. See here between the green and red, you've got a little bit of pink coming in. Now I'm aware like for this one, it's just black and white. There's not that much that you can exploit here on the threshold slider because they're all still quite bright colors. But when you've got a whole palette loaded like this and you've got all different colors interacting and you've got the chromatic aberration with a nice high threshold glow, you can really start influencing what that glow is picking up by moving these channels around because they will blend together and they will create new hues and new colors that the glow then reacts to. So I could sit and talk here about Epsilon Glow for even longer, but I'm going to leave it there. I love this glow effect so much and I love combining it with the chromatic effects. Like I'm so happy with this. I hope that after this video you understand it a bit more or you can use it a bit more in your work. Hopefully we've done it like a little bit more justice now, like you understand it a bit more and so therefore you can understand why it's so good. Like if you just look here to the right of these glasses, you've got these red, blue and green and sort of dark navy blue pixels and they don't line up to meet the glow standard with the threshold I've got set. But if I move the red channel until they overlap and create a little pink or yellow section, then they do. And you can literally see them move into the glow threshold and out right as I move the slider, which is just like magic to me. A lot of glow effects just don't give you the ability to do this because on a normal image, this probably would look bad, but in dithering, like it's just a perfect combination. So yep, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Please use Epsilon Glow. If you like this effect, if you like Dither Boy, and if you like just what we're building here in that like we're making these effects specifically for dithering, please go to studioAAA.com/community and check out what we put on there because it takes quite a lot of effort and there's quite a lot of stuff you can download there for use in Dither Boy in terms of color palettes or my effects or tutorials and that kind of thing. We also just created a new account for Studio AAA on Instagram called Studio AAA.com. I will leave that linked below. One of the hardest things about doing standalone software that has no subscription attached to it is reaching new people. So if you would follow us on our new social media, I would really appreciate that because it helps us reach more people. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.